Hello, and a warm welcome to all the Delta Meditation followers out there. We're so excited to be doing this. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the truly unique and powerful philosophy that makes this channel so special, exploring its core ideas about the mind, about suffering, and about your incredible power to create your own reality.
Right out of the gate, the channel hits you with this huge, dramatic idea that our everyday waking consciousness is actually operating inside of a mental prison. Whoa. Okay, let's really get into this. So the first big concept is a real mind-bender. It's the idea that your own mind, well, it isn't necessarily your friend. This philosophy suggests the mind itself is an invisible prison, and it has a name for it, the Matrix. And no, we're not talking about the movie here. In this context, the Matrix is the very software that's running our lives. It's a program filled with all the beliefs and limitations that have been handed to us by society, our culture, our experiences, ever since we were born. And here's a brilliant way to understand the difference. Think of your brain as the physical hardware, right? The computer itself. But the mind, that's the software that's been installed on it. It's all that social programming, telling the hardware how to run. Okay, so if we're running with this idea of being in a mental matrix, then the big question is, where does all our suffering actually come from? Well, this philosophy points the finger directly at the mind's programming. Sure, things happen on the outside that can trigger pain, loss, failure, things we can't control. But the core idea here is that the actual experience of suffering, well, that's an inside job. It's something created and molded by our own minds. A really clear example given is panic attacks. They're not framed as some random, scary event that just happens to you. Instead, they're seen as a physical and mental feedback loop that starts with the mind's reaction to stress in the body. So, we've laid out the problem, this chaotic, messy programming running in our heads. So, is there a way out? Is there an escape route? You bet there is, and it's a state called silence of the mind. Now, this is about way more than just being quiet. We're talking about stopping that constant, involuntary storm of thoughts that keeps us trapped inside the program. It's about finding true inner peace.
Okay, achieving silence of the mind sounds amazing, but how in the world do you actually do that? This is where this whole philosophy gets super practical and gives us some real hands-on tools.
So for those intense moments of panic or when your thoughts are just completely overwhelming, here's technique number 1. It's a forceful exhalation. The whole point is to literally interrupt your brain's panic cycle and give you instant relief.
The second tool is called narcissus flower breathing, and this is all about generating positive feelings. You use your imagination, visualizing a flower you love, and that act of smelling it can actually trigger your body to release feel-good hormones like serotonin. How cool is that?
So what's really going on in your body when you do these exercises? Well, you're basically hacking your nervous system. You're shifting it from that stressed out fight or flight mode to the calm rest and digest state. It's proof that deep breathing is a direct counterattack to your body's stress response. Okay, so let's say you've done it. You've used these techniques and you've silenced the mind. What happens next? What's on the other side of that quiet? This is where we get introduced to the really deep concept of the true self. And the key that unlocks that connection is a state called self-awareness. But what does that actually mean in this specific context? Let's unpack that a bit. There's this simple but really profound story used to illustrate the point. Imagine it's just you, and your focus is entirely on your own being. Now, picture a single feather in your hand. The second your attention shifts to that feather, your awareness has left you. In that moment, you become unconscious of your true self.
So check this out. This is what's so interesting. In this philosophy, unconscious doesn't mean you're asleep. It describes any moment your focus isn't on your own being. It could be on a thought, a memory, an object, anything outside of you.
So that state of pure self-awareness when you're finally free from the constant distraction of the matrix, that's the bridge. That's what allows you to finally connect with what the channel calls your true self, the real you that exists beyond all the programming.
And that brings us to the final, and maybe most mind-blowing stage of this whole journey. It involves using this newfound connection to consciously and deliberately shape your own reality. This whole practice is built on an ancient, powerful idea that the universe is mental. As above, so below. In other words, your inner world, what's in your mind, literally creates your outer world.
And the technique described for doing this is just fascinating.
You get into that state of mental silence, you write down your desire as if it's already true, but then, and this is the key, you just look at the paper for a few seconds. You don't read it or repeat it in your head. The idea is to bypass your logical, doubting mind and send the message straight to your subconscious. And that kind of leaves us with one final huge thought to ponder, doesn't it? This whole philosophy suggests that, yeah, we might be living inside a program, but it also hands us the power, the tools, to become the programmer.